sidetracked.
Well, hello everybody. We're a little early, but I just couldn't wait and I had to jump on. Steve's over there in the corner. You can't see him right now, but he'll be over here. So I'm gonna just kind of blah 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 until somebody comes on, because we are a few minutes early. I've got 6:27, so 3 minutes early. But hopefully, well, hello Floyd. How are you doing? Floyd's online. Say hi.
Floyd's always online.
Floyd's always online, he says. So we're going to talk about pottery tonight. And, well, hello, Floyd. Steve said to say hi to you, too, and that you're always online.
Still got your trash can.
Hi, Kathleen. So we're starting to get people to pop on, and I'm all excited about it. But we're going to be talking about pottery, of course, and the difference between pottery because, hi, Mom.
Hi, Marilyn.
We're going to be talking the difference about pottery, but there is something that we're going to talk about first because it's so cool. Hey, Joe, we stumbled upon one of the rarest Pyrexes there is, and we're going to show it to you and tell you what type it is. So if you're on watching, you get the chance to see a Pyrex pattern that is extremely rare. Then we are going to jump right into the pottery. So, first of all, how many people know what this is? And I know I said, wait a minute, this was supposed to be flipped around. Oh, it is flipped around. You guys, can you read this correctly? Because I had a customer call and tell me how to do this. So let me know if this is showing up backwards or right side to you guys. It should be showing up right side. So can you guys read this or is it backwards? Somebody? Anybody? Can you read that or is it backwards? To me, it's not backwards. So these are the SN. What is that?
Someone responded.
Oh. It is the right side. Perfect. I had a customer call and tell me how to do it. I'm so excited. Anyways, so these are what are these, Steve?
S&H green stamps.
S&H green stamps. And S&H green stamps are something that you could use to buy product that was not available in the store. You had to order it.
When you bought groceries, they would give you stamps and you put them in the books, and then you look through the S&H green stamp catalog and you would order things based on the number of books you had.
And they look like stamps, right? So the reason I'm telling you this before we get into it is, they look like stamps, see? Is because this Pyrex pattern, which is called pumpkin, right?
It's called pumpkin butter print.
Pumpkin butter print. And, I know, right? Like, you can read it. That's, yeah. So, this is pumpkin butter print. Okay? So, if you take a look at it closely and you see we have the Cinderella, I'm going to set it back down because I'm going to tell you it is a promotional piece that you could only get through the stamp book.
In 1965 through April 30th of 66, when the catalog expired, for a book and a half of S&H green stamps, you could get this set sent to your home. You couldn't buy it in the stores. You couldn't buy it any other way than through the catalog of the S&H green stamp company from 65 to April of 66.
So it's the butter print. And those of you who collect Pyrex or know Pyrex know that the pink or the green butter print, turquoise. The pink or the turquoise butter print are always in hot demand. This is called pumpkin. It's orange on white opalescent. And it was only available, and it's called pumpkin because of the orange, yellowish orange print. Only available through the stamp book. Also, it is the Cinderella. Cinderella has handles. Mixing bowls do not. Cinderella is meant to be so you can pick it up, whereas the mixing bowl is for mixing. So I just had to show you because, I mean, we don't get these that often.
It's a really rare set.
It's extremely rare.
And it's rather expensive.
It is. It's in our case. So come and take a look at it. We do have layaway. So I covered it. That's awful. Isn't that cool? And it's 401, 402, 403, 404 in bowl sizes. So that's why I showed you the stamp. Now, I know it's beautiful, isn't it? Fantastic. I love Pyrex. I wish we could do a whole show on Pyrex, but I never have enough of it to do because it always rotates. Pottery.
Whoa.
How many of you guys love pottery? Come on. tons of people love pottery, right? Because they're so useful. Well, we're going to talk about some well-known names in pottery, like McCoy, Hagar, Royal Hagar, Shawnee.
Shawnee.
There's so many different kinds, it's crazy. So we're going to start with Roseville, and we're going to show you the difference between fake Roseville and regular Roseville. Let me grab it over here. My trusty, dusty little cart here, right? I'm getting better at these, right? So, hey, Shirley. My cousin Shirley.
Hi, Shirley.
So, Roseville. Roseville. Isn't that beautiful? Look at that. Isn't that beautiful?
And that is actually glazed Roseville.
This
Not
is
all Roseville is glazed.
Yep, glazed Roseville. Glazed meaning the shininess you see on it, where they throw the sand into the kiln during the firing process that makes it all shiny, and you can put water in it. So, Roseville. This is the Roseville. This is the Roseville, right? Signature. So this is real Roseville. It's got little matching candles.
This is too.
That say Roseville underneath. This is also real Roseville. This is a different pattern, of course, and this is a non-shiny. So this is not glazed. The inside of it is not glazed. It's not. So I would not put water in this, because what happens to clay when you get it wet? Over time, it will fall apart. So this would be good for maybe dry flowers or sticks or whatever. But the Roseville, see how it's slightly different? So I'm going to hold this one up. And then here it says Roseville underneath, right? Here is the front of it.
And that is fake.
And that is fake. This one is fake.
Reproduction.
It's a reproduction. So, Steve, how can we tell the difference between a real Roseville and a fake Roseville?
Well, look at the embossed lettering on the bottom for one.
So, for one, you want to look at the embossed lettering on the bottom, because this one, it looks like it's missing. It's out. It's very, very archaic. It's very, very not well done. You can tell it's missing some of the writing inside of it.
And most Roseville will have a pattern number and a size on the bottom.
Meaning pattern number and size. Pattern number and size. Also, if you look at the paint,
yeah, it's
on
just,
it.
It's not a color. Roseville would be more pastels.
And better painted.
Yeah, and better painted.
And much better painted, because if you see the detail on this versus the detail
and
on this.
Look at the rim on the bottom too. If you look at the rim, if this were a 70, 80-year-old piece of Roseville,
up higher,
there should be dirt and wear on that unfinished ring on the underside.
From it collecting.
It doesn't show it. This is probably a repop from the 80s or 90s.
Because this is straight clay, so over time, clay absorbs. So therefore, it would be absorbing in anything it sit on.
Well, just over time, it would pick up basically a patina on the underside.
Because even something this beautiful has patina along the edges of it. So it's important when you're looking at Roseville, plus your price would be an identifier. Because real Roseville, even though it's not hot right now.
Well, it depends what if the people know what they have too.
Right, and the people know what they have. Tends to be more, and somebody who knows what they're doing when it comes to pottery will price something like this fake. And what you see, we mark it $12 and we write fake right above it. Or we'll write, new, reproduction.
Or if we're not certain if it's what it's supposed to be, we'll just put age unknown.
Yep. But I wanted to show you just the clear difference in the paint and how much better a real would be versus an old. So when you're looking at pottery, especially when you're dealing with expensive pottery, you want to make sure it's real. So that's Roseville. Now Roseville makes millions of different patterns.
Roseville makes a lot of stuff. But you got to remember too, Roseville, like McCoy and all the other pottery companies in the early to mid 20th century, even the late 20th century, they all did, starting in the early 1900s, they all did art pottery.
Art pottery.
But then, and those were all basically hand-thrown, hand-decorated pieces. Well, over time, demand became so much that they had to go into more utilitarian lines where they would sell a case of the same vase that was mold made, and they'd sell it to florists or funeral homes. So they'll have the same mark on them, but one would be a different level of quality of manufacture. So you'll have art pottery versus utilitarian everyday works.
Now this is Roseanne, right? This is a Roseanne Jardiniere, right? And which is also, or the base, Jardiniere base. It is also a Roseville. But it is a Roseanne Roseville, so...
But that's probably about 110 years old.
Yeah, so it would be pre. So this is like 110 years old, he said.
This was made
Isn't that crazy?
To compete with Weller.
To compete with Weller?
And Rookwood.
Oh, really?
Both Weller and Rookwood did dark pieces like that early on in the
Rookwood,
teens, 20s.
expensive.
But Rookwood's the same thing. They have handmade art pieces, and they have utilitarian as well.
And Roseville makes utilitarian pots that you can plant your flowers in, but they're very plain looking, usually star pattern, stuff like that. So your Roseville is more old school, antique. A lot of people who like to collect the old school looks. It can tie into farmhouse, it can tie into craftsman, it can tie into any of that. Your same customer who loves the Roseville, the beautiful Roseville, tends to like Hull, Hull. And Hull pottery, as you can see, Hull, Hull. And if you notice, made in the USA, Roseville, I don't know if it says it on there yet, made in the USA. These are all made here, and they are still made here if they're still being made. So Hull tends to be very soft. And a lot of people remember this from their grandmother because it's very common.
Well, the thing with Roseville and Hull is they use these pastel colors that are very evocative of the decades they're from.
Yeah, that looks very Art Deco.
When you look at them, people automatically can associate a decade or a time frame with them. The other thing you got to remember is that what ends up happening, like for Roseville, McCoy, a lot of those are out of Zanesville, Ohio. And they're there because the potters and the people that made this stuff in the late 1800s realized that they had good clay. So just like Francoma in Oklahoma, some of these companies and other companies that sprout up around them are in areas of the country strictly because of the clay that's available for them to use in their production.
That's interesting to know. I did not know that. So I'm going to show you a price difference. So like I told you, the fake, it says fake, it's $12, right? So, and I know this is a much larger piece, but something like this, which is a Roseville, and Roseville has gone down in value, of course, because, so this in 1990 would be what?
Probably 3 times what we're asking.
Well, what would it be?
It's hard to say without looking it up, but I mean, most of it has gone down about a third to half over the last 20, 25 years. Pieces that used to bring $1,000 will now bring 3 to 5.
But they're still beautiful. So something like this we have $80 on, and then it's 20% off, versus something that is a reproduction or new, which is $12. So if this was a reproduction or new, it may be at the most $20 because of the fact that it is a reproduction. So your price is also a value.
That one has no damage. Now something like this, if there were a hairline in that handle or a chip or a crack, it would affect it significantly.
So what's another popular one? McCoy. So we're going to talk about McCoy. And I started with Roseville and I went to Hall and McCoy because they're all around the same time frame, maybe?
They were.
Roseville's older, but
Roseville and Hall were, I don't think they make them and they haven't made them for a long time, whereas McCoy, I think McCoy went into the 80s and it may have even been bought out and still existing in some capacity.
They could be. And it was McCoy Brothers that started the company in the late 1800s.
Yeah, it was, I forgot the name.
Yeah, because we actually had something from then.
Well, McCoy started out, McCoy, Roseville, a lot of them started out originally making water pipes and roof tiles. A lot of them were utilitarian in that regard, and they started getting into the more decorative arts around the turn of the 1900s.
This is why I love having him here. Because he's like a book of knowledge. Well, he researches stuff every day. So this is a planter that McCoy made, and it's got the little chain on it that holds for the bucket, stuff like that, so you put a little plant in there and stuff. They're very known for their planters, McCoy, but McCoy also is, and this is one of their utilitarian pieces, and you can barely see it on there, but it does say McCoy. You barely see it on there. Utilitarian piece for your plant at home, of course. But one of the things that McCoy is hugely famous about, besides their planters, are their cookie jars, right, Steve? Mm-hmm. So, still pottery. McCoy, right there, USA. Did you see that? USA. So McCoy is also made in the USA, Ohio, right?
Well, I think so, yes.
I believe it's Ohio. And McCoy is famous for, like, the happy face.
They did the happy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they did a lot of pop culture pieces going into the 60s, 70s, and 80s, whereas these other ceramic companies were kind of falling away and losing market. McCoy really picked up a lot. And today, McCoy is probably one of the more collectible potteries, even over the more expensive, better brands, just because of the vast array of products that they made, forms that they made. They made planters, cookie jars, dish sets. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, I think in the last days of the Mount Clemens Pottery Factory, I think it was owned by McCoy or bought out by McCoy, and McCoy was actually tagging some of its items Mount Clemens Pottery Factory and selling them.
Mount Clemens Pottery. Yeah. I have some. So this is a Christmas mug, but it's Mount Clemens Pottery. Mount Clemens Pottery. We got teacups and stuff like that. And that was here in Mount Clemens. Cool.
You got to remember that when it came to the pottery, there were a lot of cottage industries that sprang up. Women who couldn't get into the workforce, they started making stuff in their home in California, and you'll see like a lot of different manufacturers of basically they were just selling out of their home. They may put an addition on and put a little showroom or something like that, but there were a lot of little, very small potters that were all over the country, especially in California.
So I have a degree in floral design, and back in the 90s when we would do, when I worked at a floral shop, we used a lot of Hagar products. So FTD, Telefloral, they would do a lot of Hagar products, right? Well, I'm going to tell you, today Hagar is one of the most collectible, sought-after potteries there is.
Well, I don't know the differentiation, but you got Hagar and Royal Hagar. I believe they're the same, but I don't
Same
know.
company, probably better and every day.
It may have been an art line versus utilitarian.
So, Hagar will have your sticker on it. Rarely are they actually embossed, right? It's usually
Not
based on
embossed,
sticker.
A lot of times they'll have a stamp.
Or a stamp. So Hagar, you want to look for Hagar, and this is a very 80s kitty cat. And, you know, their animals are very, very popular. And then we have something like this, and this is actually in it. It's actually in it.
Yeah.
So this one is actually in it. You can see it down in here.
But that would be more on one of their art lines.
And this is a standard Hagar, not Royal.
No.
Yeah, this is a standard Hagar, not Royal. But look at this. I mean, it's gorgeous, right? It's a lidded vase. You guys have seen this before, but this is Hagar. Hagar is a highly collectible. Now, they made some really cool stuff, though. So then there's like every mom and pop made pottery, like the ashtray over there, which is homemade.
For every major pottery studio like this, it was mass producing thousands of pieces a day. You had smaller little mom and pop operations all over the country that were making 10 and 15. I mean, Van Briggle started out that way.
I got a Van Briggle piece. Let me show you a Van Briggle piece. This is Francoma. See, I got everything to show you. Okay, so this is Van Briggle. Van Briggle.
And that is a molded piece. That would be a less desirable. Van Briggle did a very famous vase called Lorelei, where it's a nude form, deco form, wrapped around the exterior of the vase. Those
Colorado Springs. And those will all be in what?
More hand finished, hand made.
And this is a little, look at this. So this would be your base, right? And then you've got this that goes in it.
It's basically your flower frog.
And it's your flower frog so that you can stick some stems in there. So this is Van Briggle. And Van Briggle has some really high-end stuff. Not this, but really high-end stuff.
This is probably 1960s Van Briggle. Van Briggle started in early 1900s, like 05, 06.
We had an owl that was Van Briggle. Okay, so Francoma. This is a Francoma. Francoma can be identified a lot by its color, of course, but also because, and Francoma is more popularly known for their hotel items, right?
Not necessarily. Usually they made a lot of brown. They
A lot of brown?
I don't think we have any right now.
I don't have any brown. I just have this. This is Francoma. You can see. Francoma. But their hotel stuff goes for a lot of money.
Well, Francoma was located in Oklahoma, and what you're thinking of is that tiki ashtray.
Yeah.
But I don't think they made a lot of that. They made a lot of like commemorative plaques or plates for like Oral Roberts University in Oklahoma and a lot of that kind of stuff. Most Francoma is not that desirable. The green seems to have a little bit better market, but it's a redware pottery, and it's usually a brown form, and just a lot of people
Like Red Wing.
don't appreciate it like they used to.
Some of it's really cool though. They do a whole tiki line for hotels that are worth
and they
fortune.
did a line of like wagon wheels, like creamers and sugars that are in the shape of a wagon wheel.
What can we say about this one?
That's Gouda. That's Holland. A lot of people look for Delft. That's in the line of Delft.
Holland.
Is usually all blue.
Yes, look at the print on that. Isn't that gorgeous?
It's supposed
That
to
is
have like
so beautiful.
kind of an arabesque almost.
Yeah. You know, I would have thought it was Israeli pottery, but
Yeah.
because it looks like Israeli pottery, but I mean, look at this. It's gorgeous. Now, this is a higher end pottery. Something like this can run you anywhere from $75 to $125. And this one is $90, and then 20% off, of course. But look at the colors. Isn't that beautiful? It's just beautiful. Then we have some other ones, like this one. This is what's a nil?
It's nil
oak, as you can see. And it has that gorgeous Art Deco feel, right? And I could just see some like hens and chickens in here. Air plants, something to that effect. I mean, it's just gorgeous, isn't it? Look at the Art Deco look on that. Isn't that beautiful? Oh, come on. I like the hearts. I like the thumbs up. What are you guys doing? Then we have this. Treasure Craft. Here we go. Treasure Craft. Oh, there's a heart. I love it. Treasure Craft is highly collectible because they do a lot of tourist pieces. Mostly Hawaii.
Well, a lot of tiki and tourist.
Like this is Las Vegas, Nevada. And if you haven't been to our location in Las Vegas, get on the boat and go, because get on the boat. They have no water. Get on the horse and go. Because we got some cool stuff out there. Las Vegas Antique Center, you got to check it out on Decatur in go ahead. In the Arizona Charlie parking lot. Tell them Jason and Steve sent you. They will love it. What's this?
Treasure Craft.
Oh, this is also a Treasure Craft. Look at him. Say hello. This is Treasure Craft. So as you can see, they're very much oh, this is a good Treasure Craft. Tiki. Treasure Craft does a lot of tiki stuff. Look at this. Isn't that gorgeous? And where does it say Treasure Craft at?
It may not be on there. It could have been a sticker.
Or it's probably on the other one. It's a pair. But so this is a really good one. You can find a lot of Hawaii, a lot of
Treasure Craft did a lot of cookie jars.
oh, they did a lot of cookie
They're
jars
all those
too.
dark brown.
Yeah, they're all in that dark brown look and color. So we know of that. What do we have here? Here we have, Artistic of California. So California is big on pottery. They have a lot of potters. I know Newcomb Pottery is in California. That's in Northern California, I believe. And then you have California Originals. You have Artistic California. You have all sorts of different California potteries. And this is Artistic California, number 500. Artistic California. So there are people who just collect any pottery from California. There are people who collect certain California pieces, stuff like that. Now, Steve, does McCoy always mark their stuff?
Yes, for the most part, but sometimes, like on the planters, it'll be incorporated into the in. I had a log planter once where it was incorporated into the rings on the end of the log.
So sometimes they'll be written in along the end of the log or the end of the inside the pattern themselves. This one is not marked. This could be a McCoy, but I doubt it. But I think it's a Shawnee.
I'm not sure.
So Shawnee's another one, and we scoured this place for a Shawnee, but somebody must have bought all our Shawnees. Shawnee is very similar to McCoy on some of their stuff, but they're also similar to other things.
Shawnee made all the cornware, maizeware.
The maizeware.
Shawnee will be the corn on the cob salt and pepper shakers, the mugs, the cookie jar, the creamer and sugar. Most of that, if it isn't homemade ceramics, it's going to be Shawnee maizeware.
So pottery and telling the difference, you want to take a look at the different aspects of your pottery, right? Well, I'll get to that in a minute. Then you have stuff like Anthony Original. Anthony Originals, right? You see it right there on her paw.
It's also called McFarlane.
On the paw. Here it is. I guess I should look for Anthony Originals. Very mid-century, very done in this gold, not shiny, matte finish. The gold matte finish. I'm going to tell you, the mice are fantastic. Then we have something like this, and this is a stamped piece, and I think that's Chinese writing.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, stamped piece. And Steve had found it, but take a look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? Beautiful, right? So, and then we're going to revisit the different types of pottery. Oh, I didn't talk about this.
This one's as simple as, this one's German.
That's gorgeous.
That's German, and then on the bottom it still has its Frank's Nursery.
Hold that for a minute. That's a fun one. Look how beautiful that is. Look at the colors. If you have a 50s kitchen or a 50s bathroom or something, this color matches perfectly with it. So this is German. It's got the sticker here, right? So it says ceramic, GM, artistic. Artistic. But what makes this even more fabulous is the fact that it's got the original Frank's Nursery sticker on it. I love that it has the Frank's Nursery sticker on it. You know, we block them out because we have people who think that's the price.
That you can read McCoy on that somewhere.
Huh?
That is McCoy. You can read it so you can see the double C.
Okay, so this is McCoy as well, this planter. And you can barely see it in here, but it is written in there. I don't know if you can see how, actually I can see it better through the screen. But these are awfully popular. What's that one? That's a Belgian piece?
Belgium.
Go
Where
ahead.
at, I don't know.
But still, look,
It's just
gorgeous.
a piece of art pottery. It's got a model glaze, and it's unglazed as far as the shininess aspect.
And remember, if it's unglazed, then you don't want to put water in it because you have to have the item vitrified to hold water. Vitrified meaning they have to put sand in the kiln during the firing process to give it a glass coating to keep the water from hitting the actual clay, because what happens when water hits clay? It goes away. What's this? Why does this have this in here? Why does this have this in here? Crazy. There's a big G on the back. I don't know what that stands for.
That's probably the potter.
The potter. The potter apparently is a big G.
That's
so
probably something that was sold at an art fair or art show.
Probably. So somebody glued that in there just to let you know. And what this is this is your flower frog, and this is a perfect Ikebana floral arrangement vase, right? So it's something that's very stylized, very few flowers, very oriental looking, and they would stick the stems right into this, put a little water in there, and then you have a gorgeous arrangement. So there's so much to, so let's revisit, shall we? How do you know the difference between real and not real, right? Real, not real. Look at the paint difference. You want to look at the paint difference. You want to look at the overall piece. If a piece is supposed to be 100 years old or 50 years old, it better have some wear on the bottom of it. It shouldn't look perfect because, you know, it gets moved around, it gets sat on stuff, especially if it's an unglazed item, because clay is absorbent, so you will see stuff on it. This is fake. Whereas, look at that. You can see the discolorization, even though it's not fake. On this one, you can see the discolorization. You will be able to read it clearly or not clearly, like some of the other ones. But having it both, no numbers, no nothing like that along with it, is a sure sign. Go ahead, Steve.
I was just going to point this one out. You'll see this one you'll see the figures, the peeing dog. It's I forgot the company. It's a smaller company, but they sold a lot of souvenir pieces, and the dog will say, Boblo on the side of it, or New Orleans. But you'll see the pets all the time. They're either raising a leg and peeing, or they're squatting and peeing. But this is the first time I ever saw one that was incorporated into a planter as a base. Just thought it was kind of different.
And there's a ton of pottery that isn't marked. It does not mean that it's not collectible. It does not mean that it's not good. Something like this that's beautiful. It's got 3-dimensional design on it, right? The wheat actually sticks out. No, not one mark on the bottom of it. Beautiful vase. Then you have little pieces like this that have the mark on the bottom along with the number. So probably from an art show, but it is whitefish pottery. Whitefish pottery. Crazy fun stuff.
A lot of times you'll see pieces of pottery that aren't branded on the underside, especially the cookie jars, but they'll have these raised kind of rails that hold them up off and kind of elevate them a little bit. 9 times out of 10, my experience has been that's going to be brush pottery.
This one's made in England. So I'm going to show you this real quick. This is a good pot. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? That belongs in somebody's home. Come get it. Anyways, so this is made in England. As you can see, look at all these marks, the different color marks and stuff. So this is a good piece of pottery. But look at that. Isn't that beautiful? That belongs in somebody's house. And the inside is finished, so you can actually use it. We'll set that right over here. Go ahead.
And then a lot of times, as we had said, there were a lot of people that made a business or a cottage business out of making ceramic pieces. They were that good and that people wanted them because of the quality and the decoration. But then you had all the mothers at home, mine included, that thought they were making wonderful pieces and would make pottery themselves and mold and paint it themselves. And for 30 years, you couldn't give the stuff away. And now suddenly in the last 5 or 10 years, it's popular. But a lot of times what you'll find on the bottoms of those pieces is just hand-etched numbers or letters or names. And that was because the women would be doing this in a class, and there may be 20 people in the class and 3 or 4 other women are making the same pot as them. And when you fire the blank, there's no decoration to identify it. So they would have to put their initials on the bottom. All my mom's pieces have her name Lila, or they have LH on the bottom. But sometimes if it's something that's in the family, you can track it down to who made it based on the name or the letters on the bottom. And you might be surprised at the lack of a good eye or the good eye that a relative may have had based on the colors that they put onto something like that.
So in the 80s, it was all hot to have mauve, and it was the Art Deco revival time. We did a lot with the Egyptian revival, the Art Deco revival. The 80s was an amalgamation of all of that. And one of the things I wanted to show you was this very, and I think my mom may have owned this at one point or something similar, this very, very 80s driven mauve and seafoam green, which was a big color back in the 80s, vase. It's the crackle finish with the face. Vase, oval vase. These were hugely popular. We actually go through these when we can find them like crazy because I mean, look at this. Say hello. Isn't that great? I love these things. So anyways, I wanted to, because I have Steve here and we want to throw a get better soon, a get well soon, Jason, when you, he is out ill. So hopefully he'll be back in a week or so. And, well, thank you, Mike. Real quick, I want to show you this again for those of you who weren't here at the beginning. This is a very rare set. It's called Pumpkin Butter Print. Whoa, see, I'm going to break everything. Pumpkin Butter Print for a 1-404. It also has, you could only get this via the green stamps. So I'm going to set it down before I break it because it's an expensive piece. He'll take care of that from there because I'm a klutz. So
those are homemade ceramics.
Okay, so these are homemade ceramics and a great choice for Halloween. So these are homemade ceramics, meaning that somebody at home made those. And
that would be the mold manufacturer.
Oh, okay. The mold manufacturer is
Sometimes
underneath.
that's all you'll find.
So,
But some of the homemade
those
ceramics
things.
can be pretty
Aren't they crazy?
strange looking.
A lot of the homemade ceramics you'll come across are ashtrays too, because ashtrays were in every single place you can think of. So I wanted to, since we had Steve tonight, and to talk about the difference between those, and maybe we can steal him at some point to talk about prints, paintings, and what's the other one? Etchings, paintings, stuff like that, because he's really good at that too. See, Steve spends all day shopping and then researching items to price them and put them on the floor, so his knowledge is expansive. Whereas mine is as much as I listen to him and what I see out on the floor. So remember, pay close attention to your pottery when you buy it. Educate yourself on the differences between what's real and what isn't, what's newer and what's older. And also, AI should be on anything you buy at a vintage or thrift store, because of the fact that AI stands for as is. If there's a tiny chip, if there is anything.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
And then one thing you can always do when you're looking at pottery or ceramics is tap it.
Oh.
It should ring like a bell. If it's cracked or has a hairline, it's going to be a thud.
No, that's bellish.
Unfortunately, for the first time, we don't have any damage in front of us.
No.
But
you can hear the difference.
Okay, it's just like tapping.
You can feel the difference. No. You can hear the difference. This has AI on it. Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so tap the good one right here. Listen closely. Almost like when you run your finger.
It's going to be more of a.
Yep.
You're going to hear a ring like a bell.
And as you see right here, it should be priced accordingly to the injury that it has. And then you should see AI next to the price. AI as is. We will always have that on our stuff, because we want to make sure that you know what you're getting, so that when you get home, and it's happened to all of us, and if you're a vintage or a thrift store buyer, it's happened to you as well. You get home and you find out something is broken, cracked, or whatever. Damaged or whatever. So you want it to sound.
No, you got to.
How did you do it?
You can't be holding it what's going to ring.
Okay.
So you got to make sure that it's from the base.
You can play
now,
music.
if you do it like this, you're going to get the same
Right,
vibe.
so you got to hold it like it's sitting.
Yeah.
Actually, you could just tap it while it's sitting on the shelf.
Yes.
You could just tap it while it's sitting on the shelf. Tap it with your finger. Nothing metal, because you'll break it. Or crack it, or do something. Bye, Shirley. It was great seeing you on here, and we love you too. And so, anyway, Steve, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And like I said, maybe we can rope him in later for a learning on different things. Yeah, not a hammer, Maria. You and your hammers. What was I going to say? Jump over to YouTube. Follow us on YouTube. TikTok. Please, if you have a TikTok, tell all your friends. Jump over to our TikTok, Time Warp Vintage. Like us. Follow us. We are just shy of enough to go live on TikTok, and we want to so badly. And you guys have a great day, and thank you so much for following us. I'm humbled every day. So,
Thank you.
Bye, you guys.
Wonderful seeing everyone. You too, Floyd.
Bye.